Welcome back, and many thanks for staying with us right here on Morning at NTV. If you haven't left your humble abode, please ensure you're not only arming yourself with a face mask, but you are wearing one. Your nostrils and your mouth need to be covered. Those are the sensitive spots through which the COVID-19 pathogens can actually enter your body, ravaging your whole health system. That aside, in my midst, I do have Fred Chakulaga Bueno, Honorable State Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries. He's within our midst to talk about the Africa-wide Agricultural Extension Week 2021 that shall be taking center stage from the 14th to the 20th of November this very year, 2021. The theme for this encounter shall be effective agricultural extension systems for sustainable agripreneurship within Africa. I love that theme. He is not alone. We are also joined by Max Oloport, Partnership Planning and Learning Specialist in that regard, AFA's Secretariat. He's also the co-chair, National Organizing Committee for the Extension Week 2021. Two individuals with a wealth of information that we really need right here on Morning at NTV. All right, a very good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to start with you, Fred Chakulaga. Talk to us about the state of agricultural extension systems right here in Uganda and Africa as a whole.
Right here in Uganda, the extension system is not the best, I would say.
Thank you for being honest.
Currently, we have one extension worker
Indeed.
working with 1,800 farmers.
Mega number.
That state is big. That state of affairs is not good. The
if it's a police officer,
the ideal, the recommended
every day.
Yes, the recommended is 1 to 500.
1 to 500.
Yeah.
So you're handling double the population.
More than double. Yeah. So it's not good. But besides that, we have issues of technology. Where we are, we should be using ICT. To reach out to farmers, but we have issues of connectivity, we have issues of lack of knowledge by our farmers, but also other forms of facilitation. But most important, the kind of attitude of our workers, a bit slow, not willing to go to the field, and all that. And this situation is not only in Uganda, it is the general situation in sub-Saharan Africa.
What is precipitating this kind of behavior, Honorable?
Many factors.
Some of which include?
Attitude, but also we need mindset change, generally speaking, mainly to cater for attitude change. And this is why we are coming together in this Africa-wide Extension Week to discuss such matters and come up with a way forward. But
what is precipitating the small numbers we are seeing within this profession? Why are there small numbers of extension workers within Africa or Uganda?
It's not an issue of lack of professionals. We have the professionals.
Why are we having one dealing with over 1,000 people?
These are issues of budgetary, because the country cannot afford the recommended number in terms of budgetary provisions.
Isn't that where we would be calling for more funding to the agricultural sector so that more money could be used to secure these experts?
Yes, and more so because agriculture is the mainstay of the country.
I see.
It is our main source of...
the backbone.
Yeah, it's the backbone. It's the main source of foreign earnings, the main source of the provision for our economy. So ideally, would be advocating for more funding for this, and this is what we're trying to do.
Mr. Oloport, agriculture is largely the backbone of this country, Uganda, but then the kind of funding that we see being accorded to the sector makes it look like it's not really the backbone of this country. More money is going to security. How will we get more extension workers? If we are dealing with meager funds coming in from government, how will we actually improve agricultural farming methods, like from subsistence all the way to commercialized agriculture without money? Go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, money is very important.
Indeed.
but also money has a lot of channels to deal with. There are a lot of things that you have to use the money for. But going back to the African context, in 2003, the African governments, the heads of state, endorsed the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, and in that commitment, the governments of Africa agreed to invest 10% of the national budget to agriculture. If you scan through Africa, you'll find that there are very, very few countries that have money to do that. I think that it is not intentional. It is not intentional. We are grappling with a lot of challenges, a lot of issues, but from the point of agriculture, we still remind government that, you know, this is where majority of our people are. Therefore, gradually we need to see an increment in the budgetary allocation to agriculture, not just extension, but also research. Because we have a lot of challenges coming on board, a lot of pests, a lot of, so these need money, but also to get extension down to the farmers. We need, of course, money, but to help in doing this, we also circumventing by saying we use ICT, we use radios to fill the gap. We may not continue lamenting that the extension workers are few. The discussion that extension we could bring is what are some of the innovative approaches that we can use amidst the few extension workers who are in the field.
What are some of those innovative approaches? Mark Soloport, divulge.
So one of the, you know, we are living in the digital world.
All right.
Now we want to empower our extension workers to be able to use the ICT, the digital means, to reach the farmers.
A farmer who is semi-illiterate, if within the rural setting, using a Katochi phone, they do not have smartphones, and these are largely women. How are we going to be reaching out to these women in the rural areas or rural settings where internet penetration is only at 40%? How are we going to be reaching out to them?
It is possible. The rest of the world has done that. And people are gradually doing that. And remember, it's not only the phone which is the ICT or digital. We have traditionally used the radio to reach masses of farmers. And you know, during the colonial time, in fact, the radio was the most used, and where communities could come together, listen to this radio, intersect and try to understand the message. So the extension worker can talk on radio, but then the communities can listen. But again, even the ICT needs a human touch. We believe in the extension that people need to hear, they need to see, they need to touch, but also
practicability based.
Making use of multiple approaches. While we use the radio, while we use the phone, there are people in the villages who are accessing information on phone. You've noticed that business is done on phone. There is a deal here selling cassava, and it's on phone. So even extension workers.
Mr. Mark Soloport, radio technology has been here even before the COVID-19 pandemic. Largely even before the onslaught of this pandemic, how come such a measure didn't come in handy to help us alleviate the challenge that we are dealing with right now, the issue of communication between the extension workers and the farmers in that regard? Why were we not using radio technology even before? Because largely it was never affected by COVID-19.
No, we're using it. We're using radios. I personally was in radios talking about the continuity of agriculture. And remember, agriculture remained essential service, not only in this country.
But even in the wake of this usage of the radios, we are still dealing with poor extension support. That is the contestation right here. Is it an effective measure, the radios?
It is one way. That's why I'm saying in extension you don't really think of one linear approach, but you have to use multiple approaches in order for you to help the farmer.
So one of which is the radio.
One of them is the radio.
Number two?
Some people use phones, but most importantly also these limited or few extension workers have to go to groups, use the group approach, reach the farmer through that. But again, when farmers are empowered, we have farmer-to-farmer extension, where you have this farmer who has understood a technology, he has understood a process. That farmer therefore becomes very useful in helping other farmers in the community, and we call those model farmers or facilitator farmers, and that is very useful in filling the gap in terms of the inadequacy or the limited numbers of extension workers.
Honorable Chakulaga, you have academics who are saying the lack of sufficient extension support is the reason as to why we are dealing with poor farming methods, and also the output at the end of the day that is not also sufficient. How are we working to improve this?
Yeah, you have had one, want to be more innovative, want to use farmer to farmer, want to get those progressive farmers to be good examples to the rest, so that other farmers can aggregate at their farms.
Your model farm,
yes,
best practices, we bring other farmers to your model farm so that you teach them how you're doing it.
Exactly, that's
I
one.
see.
But two, we want to use even community radios.
I see.
Mukalakasa. Yes, you move with the Mukalakasa around the community to call them for meetings, but also to give out information. But
what
also
kind of information?
The kind of information is about the enterprise selection,
All right,
for a particular locality, agronomic practices. How do you look after, if it is a crop, if it is an animal, if it is a fish, how do you care for them? It is about market information. It's about changing from our traditional way of doing things. So it's a valid information. Yeah, but also the government has a plan to address some of these challenges through the NDP3 that is now targeting the farmer, targeting the household.
I see.
Targeting, for example, it has come up with a number of pillars. One of them is to solve issues of financial inclusion.
And of course, Honorable Chakulaga, we cannot make that transition from subsistence to commercialized agriculture without extension officers helping the farmers, know how to do it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We can't do that. We can't execute that transition without extension.
Indeed.
Yeah, that is true. But the point is, we need to be more innovative, because we may not have enough money to recruit all the extension farmers that we need. We may not have enough money to equip them with transport and with the other facilities. So that's why you have to come up with those other innovations. Yeah.
Mr. Oluport Max, what will it take to improve agricultural extension services within this country, Uganda? Is it even doable?
It's doable. Oh, yes.
Number one.
Certainly, yes. Like just the Honorable Minister said, we are focusing extension not in the way of production only. We want to see extension which is market oriented. So we are molding extension workers from production to processing, to marketing, organizing farmers, and building the capacity of these farmers to be able to take control of their enterprises. At the end of the day, in fact, in Farmer Field School, we call it working out yourself. You empower somebody so that they take leadership. So what do we need to do that? We need to build their capacity. Of course, we're talking about issues of favorable policy and strategies that really also try as much as possible to invest in extension. We also need investment in this extension worker himself. Make sure that he has the facilities that he needs. If he has a motorcycle, he has some fuel to be able to reach to the farmer, the farming community. Yes. But again, we also need to expose our extension workers to these modern approaches of delivery of extension and advisory services. And that is why we bring Extension Week, for example, to Uganda. And the world coming to Uganda to say what has worked in Kenya, what has worked in Rwanda. Can we interrogate how did they come to that? You know, why did Ethiopia, for example, invest more in extension services. Why is Ethiopia employing more female extension workers? Because they know agriculture is small stakeholders, the small-scale farmers are mainly women. Therefore, you need to have more female extension workers who should really approach these women and make them empowered.
I love that recommendation, Max Oloport. Since we have rural women engaged within agriculture, female extension workers will go a long way in helping us alleviate this challenge. But largely, Mr. Chakulaga, why have we been unable to make a transition to modern agriculture? Share with us in a minute before I let you two go. Besides the issue of lack of sufficient extension workers,
the bottlenecks are known, but there are mainly two. One, the traditional belief that we produce for stomachs only.
Subsistence, right?
Subsistence. But the second one is the colonial setup. When
isn't that belief precipitated by a lack of money to engage in commercialized agriculture? Not simply because I want to
that's another bottleneck.
All right.
But the colonial setup introduced basically 4 crops: cotton, coffee, tobacco, and tea.
As we wrap up,
to satisfy their own interests. But now we are saying we should
strike a balance.
Strike a balance. We should have enterprise selection based on amount of land available. We are recommending high-value crops for the fragmented land, where people have less than 4 acres. Those who have more land can go into, for example, ranching or plantation agriculture. So that is about the colonial setup.
Honorable Fred Chakulaga and also Max Oloport, many thanks for having made the time to interact with us about the incoming Agriculture Extension Week. This is a magic bullet that we need for our farmers within Africa. You can seek the services of Romeo Busiko and also the NMG as far as dissemination of information about this particular event and more events that you might be having within the pipeline. We want to be on board with you, General.
And we're inviting every Ugandan to come for that extension week. The physical one will be in Munyonyo.
Yeah.
Many of us will join virtually. The world is joining the extension. So let's have the Ugandans more online than other people in the world.
Max Oloport and Honorable Fred Chakulaga, thank you very much once again for coming through. You're still watching Morning at NTV. Another conversation is within the pipeline. We do have a lot more. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.